We're here with Carolina Haro, and who is the founder and managing partner of Maypai, and is also editor of a blog with regard to Dial 9, the laboratory, and a Phocuswright analyst, and also a professor of strategic marketing at Positivo University.
Right.
We're also here with Jeff Higley, who is editor and director, VP of Digital Media and Communications for HotelNewsNow, a part of STR. And we're glad that they're both here, and we're going to take on some questions. And the first one I'd like to address to Carolina, and that is, travelers have a demand for travel experience, and that's just not lodging. In fact, it's beyond lodging. If you think about that experience, shopping for that experience and executing it, who's best positioned to do that in the marketplace, do you think?
Well, I think we have, as a hospitality industry, we have been disrupted by Airbnb in that sense. Airbnb has created this community sense, this authentic experience with the local flair, and that's precisely what travelers are looking for. But when we talk about legacy hotel chains, they're also picking up on their game. So, like Accor Hotels is doing a great job on acquiring or creating new lifestyle brands like 25 Hours and Mama Shelter, JoJo's. Those are all brands that actually deliver that experience with that local flair and connection to the community they're in. So I think Accor is doing a pretty good job, but we have to pick up our game when competing with disruptors like Airbnb.
So there's lots of competition out there, including Airbnb. Yeah. What's your take on that, Jeff?
I agree. I think pointing out Accor is they're clearly one of the leaders, but I think all hotel companies, for the most part, have figured out a way to package things together through their loyalty programs and through the partnerships that they have that allow guests to have unique experiences, not only in the lodging side, but if you want to take an elephant ride in India, or you want to tour the rocket facility in Cape Canaveral. Hotel companies have been very proactive in trying to build those types of relationships with external experiences to offer their guests exactly what they want.
Following up on that, tell me a little bit about what you think the impact of the loyalty programs are in that kind of choice. Maybe Carolina could comment on that, and then Jeff, what do you think about that?
We have some research at Phocuswright about loyalty, and we see that loyalty membership numbers are increasing in all the generations, including millennials. But loyalty membership does not mean loyalty to a brand. It means that this consumer is going to shop everywhere, and if that loyalty program actually presents best prices and, most importantly, perks and access to exclusive experience, then he's going to convert that sale there. But the most important is that loyalty membership does not mean loyalty to the brand.
Yeah. All you have to really do is look back to a little bitty deal in the hotel industry in 2016 when Marriott acquired Starwood for $14 billion.
Wow.
Clearly, there were a lot of things that were in play in that deal, but predominantly, most experts agree that it was the loyalty program of the SPG program from Starwood that was the driver of that, because they wanted Marriott wanted to increase that, and I think their number is now over 130 million loyalty members. Yes, the distribution of having 30 brands in their portfolio was important, but getting that database of customers that they can reach out to and put some of those packages together and continue to feed the hotels in their system with this database was hugely important. So loyalty is more important than ever. It's true, loyalty to one brand is not maybe what's going on out there. I think the average consumer has, I think it's 14 or 15 loyalty cards in their wallet at any given time. So it's a lot of times it's what the loyalty program is going to do to suit them for this experience or this trip or whatever they're after. So loyalty, in a sense, to a single entity probably doesn't exist completely, but it's certainly in a broad spectrum is something that is more important than ever.
We hear a lot today, even at conferences like the Phocuswright Conference, about the importance of personalization. So beyond just loyalty, treating that customer as if you know that customer. Makes sense. And you both spoke to that. My question is, the same customer can have different personas at different points in time. This is a two-part question, and we'll start off with Jeff. First question is, how do you see that the hotels are going to deal with that? And then second of all, how does that kind of play with the alternate supply inventory? Checking Airbnb. What do you think, Jeff?
That whole experience and persona has been around forever, since the lodging industry, the hotel industry launched, whenever that was. Kevins Wilson in the 50s developed Holiday Inn strictly for that experience along the interstates in the U.S. And look where it's at today. So hotel companies have adapted to that personalization, to that whole concept of making sure they're giving every customer what they want. Now, it's a lot more challenging in this day and age because of the vast array of requirements for each customer. But as we've seen here and other places, technology is driving that. Technology is making it a lot simpler for them to offer that to guests.
Yeah, I think technology makes that simpler, but we as an industry, we're still pretty manual on that personalization. So it requires a team member to learn a preference or learn a request from a guest, put that into a database, and then hoping that the next team member will actually use it on the next guest stay. So with all the technology that we have available, it should be easier to provide that experience, because then we can use all that tech tools that we have, AI and all, to gather that information, use that globally, and actually cater to specific needs. And as you said, the personas, we are not one single guest as individuals. If I'm traveling to a business trip, I might need location and that's it. But if I'm traveling for an event, like a concert or something, I might need something else, perks, late checkout and things like that. So there's no single persona anymore. We all change every
Same
time.
person, different persona.
Right.
Well, and the person could utilize what we were talking about before, different brands for different personas.
Yes.
So if you're going to a concert, you may want to stay at a little more hipper brand. If you're going to a conference, you might want to stay at a place that is going to have a full business center offering and all of that. So that persona can tie into that whole concept we were talking about.
Now, both of you have mentioned the impact of technology. And we know sometimes the hotel industry, lodging industry, struggles a bit with that. What's your take, and we'll start with you, Jeff, what's your take on the capabilities or the effect of, let's say, of blockchain or AI or all this kind of buzzwords about technology? How do you think that's going to impact the hotel industry?
It's going to be a huge impact. The big question is going to be the timing of it. The hotel industry, is noted for moving very slowly. It's like turning a big battleship. Although I do think that right now, hotel companies have that on their radar to make sure that they take advantage of those AIs, because as Carolina was talking about, that database, that collection of that data makes it so much easier at that front desk or at that property level to service what their guest needs and what they want. It's as simple as in some hotels that I check in, I get a note that says, "We know you like your room at 65 degrees. I'm the guy that goes in and goes, I want it as low as I can go. And they've already preset it. Wow, that makes me as a customer go, they know what I want, and it's a simple thing, and they can do it. So I think that's the key right now, is making sure that you can do the simple things and slowly build up, and in 5-10 years, it's going to be second nature to the hotel industry.
Yeah, Jeff just hit it, because the whole thing is we have to use technology to reach our end goal, which is offer a great customer experience. And that's what we need to do. So tech tools and all the technology available must serve a single purpose: to deliver better services to our clients.
Right.
In whatever persona they are at that point.
It still boils down to the technology's wonderful, it's important, it's essential, but it still boils down to being able to provide that hospitality experience that guests want. They're not looking to, there are some guests who don't want to come in and look at sign in or check in at a kiosk. They want that personal touch. There are others who would rather just do that, get their key, go to the room, had a rough trip. So being able to identify those kinds of trends of what experience a customer wants through technology is going to be the golden egg for hotels.
It's interesting, what you were saying about the notion of applying it to improving the customer experience. There seems to be an interface between loyalty as well as personality. Interesting. But tell me, you said it's going to take some time. What are the impediments in the hotel industry to keep that from happening? What's getting in the way?
Money, right?
Money, okay.
It's not a cheap endeavor. So you have to have the technology at an expense level that can make it easier, not just for the brands, but for the owners. And that's who, what I deal with at HotelNewsNow right now is the owners and managers every day. Costs are escalating at such a rapid pace, and rates aren't going up as much. So you have this really squeeze in the middle for hotel owners. So to go to them and say, well, we want you to pony up some cash to put in this AI program, most owners are going to kind of give franchisors a little bit of a sideways glance and say, no, it's more important right now that I keep my soft goods and case goods and all of that fresh.
Yeah, I know that hotels' separation of ownership and management, that has a lot to do with it, because at the end of the day, you have to present results to investors, and they're not so deep into the industry to understand how that really affects his results, actually.
Right.
So,
now, what about the legacy systems? You hear a lot about the fact that the hotels have those legacy systems, the PMS and CRS and revenue management and all that, and they're chain specific, chain developed, and sometimes they get in the way. What are your thoughts on that? Is that an impediment?
Well, I think most of those brands are slowly but surely retiring those legacy systems.
Yes.
Holiday Inn just did it. Choice has done it and gone to the cloud. IHG is now in the cloud. So I think we're starting to see that. But you know what? That whole process started 10, 12 years ago with that initial conversation with the owners and management companies saying, we need you to pony up for this. And it took that long for them to do it. I mean, Holodex was around forever, and it's finally being phased out. So, it's something that's going to, that will take a while to get to the point where they really need to be.
I want to end with this question because it's the tough one. I opened this interview up by saying, well, is it really a demand for a travel experience? Well, the travel experience includes everything from being picked up at your home and taken to the airport to returning from the airport and coming to your home, plus everything in between. The hotels significantly have a part of that, but so do other entities. So the kind of final question is, who do you see winning in that kind of world where he who hath the data haveth the customer? So what do you think about that? Where's that going to go? Who's going to win in that battle between, let's say, the hotels or the credit card companies or the OTA? Who is it?
I think who treats that data better. So having the data is not enough. We have to be able to apply that data into the customer service or that experience. So the company who actually manages to treat that data, analyze it, and offer great experiences is going to win. So far, lots of work to do.
How about you?
I couldn't agree with that more. I mean, our company is all about data. It's been about data for 35 years. Yeah. And you hit it on the head. If I'm a college kid right now studying hospitality, where I would go would be data science. That's the wave of the future, because data is king, and it's always going to be king, especially as we continue to fill these terabytes and gigabytes and full of data that how are you going to ever get to it to analyze it? So having that analysis in play with somebody that knows what they're doing is going to be important for success down the road.
Excellent. So you've heard this here today from Jeff and Carolina, and I find it interesting in their responses, which I thought were absolutely dead on. But effectively, the fuel for the engine of improvement is going to be technology. But as both of you, I think, effectively pointed out, It's the hotel which can execute against that experience, and their capability to take that technology, to take that data, and personalize the service could well be the winner and create the loyalty and attachment. So I thank both of these folks for their time, and we certainly hope you enjoyed this presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.